Hatfield Library.
So you click that,
Just click this.
and share,
Okay.
and go to what you're wanting to share.
I want to share this video right here.
Yes.
Okay, I hope y'all can hear it. Here we go.
I couldn't be with you guys this afternoon for our Parent Academy dental work this morning, and
They're
not
saving it.
going to feel up to it. But I do want to share with you one of my favorite STEM activities that we purchased. I have 10 kits of this, and it's really fun. I've played with this for hours myself. Students absolutely love it here. You know, if you have more than one child and you want to get 2 of these and have them do competitions on races on how to build some of these, you know, really great activities that, you know, projects, you know, feel free. Just let me know the name of your child, and I will get them checked out to you and have them down in the office. But let's get right into it. It's called Snap Circuits Junior, and it is basically a over 100 different projects or activities that your child can work on. It gives a step-by-step instructions on how to build each project. You're dealing with circuits. You're you know, dealing with power going from one end of a circuit board to another. You have resistors. You make whirligigs. You can create sound, radios, alarms, different music sets. You have lights. It's really a great activity for kids. As I said, they absolutely love it. It has everything that you need. A small circuit board that you put together, and the circuits just snap on the board. So, you know, taking the battery pack, you snap it onto the board, and then start connecting the circuits together. From here, it's all diagrammed out. It is a great activity. I highly recommend it for any child that is bored. Get them away from the phone, get them away from video games,
Thank you.
and put a STEM project in their hands. Thanks for listening to me, and I hope to hear from you.
Okay, I'm gonna assume that worked. Yes. Okay, so yes, if you have a student that and you would like to check out any of the maker space activities that Mr. Hatfield has in the library, just email him, email me, let us know, and we'll make sure that we get those fun things sent home for students to participate with. All right, Ms. Harrison. Well, I'll turn it right over to you. And you're mute.
Good to go now? All right, so I'm the Title I coordinator liaison, I guess you'd say, for Madison Middle. And let's see. Hold on a second. I think I hit the wrong thing. Give me just a second. Do you see that? Title I? Okay. All right, so I'm the Title I coordinator for Madison Middle, and so I needed to do a presentation for parents. Sometimes it could be at like back to school night, but of course we didn't have that this year, and so I thought maybe this might be an option. And we have a new coordinator in the district this year, Steve Case. Well, he was last year and this year, and so he's put together this PowerPoint for us. And I'll just go through it, and then if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask me. If I don't know the answer, then I will find the answer and then get back with you. All right, so, and I do notice a few typos on here, but that's nothing that I can fix. And I do apologize for that, being the English teacher. All right, we are in Title I school, and so what does that mean? What is Title I? It's the largest federally funded educational program, and it provides supplemental funds to assist in meeting students' needs or educational goals. Now, at this point, I was going to go through and talk about all the things that we've done or we've provided, but that's a little bit further on down, so I won't do that right now. How Title I works. Federal Title I funds are allocated to states and then to school districts, and then school districts identify schools that are eligible to receive funds. And if I'm not mistaken, every elementary and middle school is Title I in Madison County. I don't believe the high schools are for whatever reason. I could find that out if we need to know, but I think it's just elementary and middle. Now, types of Title I programs. I'll just focus right now on the school-wide because Madison Middle is a school-wide Title I program. If we have 40% or more of our students with low-income families, we can get Title I funding. And these programs can be combined with federal, state, and local to help improve school programs. So Title I school goals: identify student needs, improve classroom instruction, help to master the standards, and then increase parent involvement. And that's where you all come in. A lot of the Title I money that is allocated are for things to try to get all of you all involved with the school. Now, how are they used? Again, improves curriculum, instructional activities. Like, I don't know that Mr. Hatfield's, I don't want to say that his things that he provides are funded through Title I. I don't know that, but that might be something that we could use for Title I money, anything that helps out the students. Technology, a few years ago, we used a lot of Title I money for iPads. I'm not sure if this year we used any for Chromebooks or if that money was given to us maybe from somewhere else. Additional staff salaries. There's usually one, if not two, teachers that are paid through Title I funding. As staff professional development and parent engagement. I talked to Ms. Gallion because, you know, even though I'm kind of the keeper of all the paperwork, I wasn't even 100% sure of everything that we've used the money for. And she told me, like, even whenever we have parents that may want to go to a conference, she said that they would pay for the parents to go, pay for their travel, pay for their lodging. If we have people come into the school to talk to parents on a night like tonight, if we were at school, then we could pay for their travel, their lodging. So I didn't even realize that all that came through Title I. Any kind of supplemental booklets, books, anything that the kids could take home and use in some way can come through Title I. So it's not just like buying, you know, pizza for them to have at a pizza party, you know, during the day. That's not really what Title I is. Family involvement. The school family compact states that the goals and responsibilities of students, parents, families, and schools. And this is what you all get at the beginning of the year. It comes with all the paperwork, and it's the thing that's, and you probably don't even pay attention to it anymore because you filled it out year after year. But it just says, what, as parents, what are you going to do for the year? As students, what are they going to do for the year? As teachers and staff, what are we going to do for the year to try to make us as successful as possible? And then better together. It says, we need you. Attend school events one day, back to normal. Visit your school, your child's classroom. I don't know that middle school parents would, you're more than welcome to, but I don't know if that's more elementary. But, you know, visit the classroom, see what's going on, volunteer to help, join parent organizations. We have our PTO, and Ms. Gallion can give you more information about when exactly that meets, but join parent organizations, attend parent-teacher conferences, and then stay in contact with the child's teacher by email, phone, or notes. So it's just a way to kind of help keep us all involved. All right. Any questions about Title I? And if I can't answer it, I can definitely get back with you. And I'm going to stop sharing so that I can see the chat. No? All right. Okay. I'm good. See ya. Thanks, Ms. Gallion.
Thank you, Ms. Harrison. I know you've been Zooming since 5 o'clock. Now we've had 6th grade open house and now Parent Academy. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right. Well, Mr. Easton, you are up. We are ready to hear all about the new things that we need to be watching out for to keep our kids safe.
All right. Let me share my screen here. Okay, is everyone able to see that? Awesome. So I was just going to talk a little bit about just kind of the state of substance use and mental health here in Madison County. And unfortunately, a lot of the numbers are a couple years old, because our survey that we give, the Kentucky Incentive for Prevention surveys, is usually given at school in the fall every 2 years, and it should be happening right about now. And I don't know what they're doing about that. If somebody else knows, feel free to jump in and tell me. But according to 2017 data from the Center for Disease Control, the life expectancy is declining for the third straight year in a row. And it's typically in 25 to 64-year-olds. So that was kind of odd. So in 2017, 72,000 people died from opioid use, probably primarily from overdose and hepatitis C and HIV. 88,000 people in the US that year died from alcohol use, 480,000 from tobacco use, and 47,000 from suicide. And that these things typically lie in that 25 to 64-year-old age range. So what do those things look like here in Madison County? Nicotine products. When I think of nicotine, I think of the Marlboro Man or Joe Camel. That's not what our kiddos think of, though. They're thinking about vape products more than likely. So the vape contests that you see on YouTube and social media, the social media influencers that are promoting vape, those are the products that they are thinking of. All the cool little vape pens and looks like USB ports and all those kind of things. So we had actually started to see that tobacco use was really dropping in our teens. Up until about 2 years ago, we started noticing an increase again. And that was when our Kentucky Incentive for Prevention surveys started adding in vape products to go with other regular tobacco products. So you can see the numbers there. Mostly starts around middle school. About 5% of middle schoolers say they've used tobacco in the last 30 days, right up to about 38% of high school students. In our area, that was typically vape products when you break down the numbers. So alcohol. The numbers are just a little bit lower, but they follow that same pattern. About 1% have used in the last 30 days for 6th grade, up to 29% for 12th graders. With both nicotine products and alcohol, the most commonly reported place to get them are from older siblings or from parents or friends' parents' homes. So it tends to be a lot of our drinking alcohol and nicotine uses in the homes of Madison County. Binge, this one kind of surprised me that 18% of Madison County seniors had reported binge drinking in the last 2 weeks. So that's surprising for me that's going from maybe this experimentation to this kind of risk-taking use. Marijuana, we think of, really going to date me, but I think of Cheech and Chong when I think of marijuana, rolling up a nice doobie. This is what our kiddos are thinking of, though, the dab pens, where you buy highly concentrated THC in something that's very similar to a vape pen. The of the THC is quite a bit stronger than just regular plant marijuana. So they're getting a much higher dosage when they use these. I would be willing to bet these numbers have significantly increased since 2018 when the last KIP survey was. But you can see about 19% of our high school seniors in Madison County are using some form of marijuana in the last 30 days. So as we know, these numbers are concerning because, well, when you talk about nicotine, it's a dangerous product no matter what. About a year ago, we started seeing a lot of these lung disorders in younger people that had been using vape products, a lot of scar tissues in the lungs, things like that. Another issue that I worry about is how much nicotine and early cigarette vaping is tied to later drug use. So there's a higher probability that the earlier you start using tobacco, nicotine products, the more likely you are to suffer from other drugs down the road. Why is this? Because the preteen and teen brains are different than ours. I won't waste too much time on the science lesson, but this is kind of your reward pathway. When something good happens, this area activates, releasing a lot of dopamine and other feel-good chemicals, and you feel really good. This here that's kind of tied in with the reward system is the prefrontal cortex. And that's the area responsible for predicting future consequences of your current behavior, suppressing urges, decision-making, the higher reasoning things. And I have a teen, unfortunately, in the next room that's probably going to hear this, but teens aren't really good at those kind of things. They're not good at tying future consequences with current behavior. And the studies show that that area does not fully develop until mid-20s. They're starting to say actually for males, that's probably closer to 30. So before you're really able to reason and think about your consequences, your brain and prefrontal cortex fully developed. So when you're starting smoking at 12, 13, that's just very different than an adult making that choice to use those products. So how children and teens spend their time while the brain is developing kind of helps structure the brain. So the more addictive ways that are developed, the more likelihood for addiction in the future. Some of the risks we've probably all heard, another way to call those are the ACEs, or the adverse childhood events, that make it more likely to use drugs later in life, or family history, abuse, neglect, trauma, mental illness, especially in teens, adolescents. Depression and anxiety is highly correlated with later substance use in life. The earlier you start using drugs, even nicotine is highly correlated to using later in life. The risk takers tend to be more likely to use later in life, and a lack of positive coping skills. So what does mental health look like in Madison County? This one really scares me, because these numbers were a little higher than I would have expected at 2018. I don't know what they would look like now. So anywhere between 33 and 48% of our middle and high school students reported feeling hopeless in the last 30 days. That's a scary number, because as a lot of us know, hopelessness is kind of tied in with suicide. So between 11 and 16% of our middle and high school students had felt suicidal. If you look at the 2016 KIPS survey, I want to say this was almost zero. It was around 1 to 2%. So it significantly increased in our younger middle students. Up to 11% had considered suicide in the last 12 months. So how has COVID-19 affected all of this in our county? Well, we don't have any specific state research that I'm able to find, but some research shows that you're more likely to catch COVID-19 if you smoke or vape. So that was kind of odd, because it doesn't necessarily say you're more likely to have symptoms, you're just more likely to catch it. And this is primarily true for young adults and adolescents. And they figured in the study that's because they tend to share their devices. So they pass their bongs, their joints, their vape pens. So they're sharing them and spreading objects around that their hands have been touching. We do know that nicotine products also suppress immune cells in the nose, throat, and lungs. So that's probably raises your likelihood of being positive for the virus. A Stanford University study with around 5,000 13 to 24-year-olds showed that you're 5 times more likely to be symptomatic for COVID if you use cigarettes or e-cigarettes. So vaping and or regular cigarettes do make it more likely to have symptoms. And they actually had the number 6.8 times more likely to be diagnosed with COVID-19 if you vape or use e-cigs, but they didn't find that for regular cigarettes. So once again, probably passing devices around for that age. COVID and alcohol is a little more murky. There's not a whole lot of research there, but a whole lot of rumors. Because I can remember back in probably April, hearing that there was a Russian study saying that drinking vodka would lower your risk of catching COVID-19. None of that is true. Drinking alcohol does not lower your risk of catching the virus, or it doesn't decrease symptoms. No one really knows what the exact interactions are, but we do know alcohol does suppress the immune system. Therefore, it's probably more likely to make you be symptomatic. The biggest concern with alcohol is it does increase mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation, which we already saw that in our county and some of our middle and high school students, that's already pretty prevalent. So that is a concern. I couldn't find a good United States study, but I did find a Canadian study that showed in adolescent age group, the frequency of alcohol and cannabis use has increased during the pandemic. The greatest percentage of adolescents are engaging in solitary substance use. So that means smoking pot, drinking at home, but many were actually using it via technology and even face-to-face using together. So I guess when I visualize using drugs, alcohol with technology, I'm thinking more maybe video game related, things like that. I'm not thinking they're having happy hour Zooms and things, but I'm not sure. You never know. So COVID mental health in adolescents, it just depends. We've seen a lot of studies come out that teens have fared better than we expected through the COVID pandemic shutdown. And that's typically related to just what kind of teen you have. If you have a teen that already kind of had some school anxiety, that does better with solitary learning, heavy reader, doesn't really care to do a lot of social activities, they're probably still flourishing during the lockdown. But if you have an athlete that depended on a lot of social interaction, the social butterflies of the classroom, their depression and anxiety have probably increased. So it really just depends on what personality type. So what can we do as parents and guardians? We got to be vigilant. So keep an eye on everything. We want to be involved in our teens' lives, even during the pandemic, which some of us may feel like we're too involved now because we're kind of having to help our teens a lot with homework and with at-home classwork. So, but it's very important just to be there, to be involved, to keep an eye on things. Always ask questions. Once again, I have my son in the other room listening, but I will share a short example that I saw on his phone that he was getting a text from, what was it? Young Stoner Life. So I was like, hey, what's that text about? Label. So those are the kind of things, though, that you have to keep an eye on. Thankfully and hopefully he was honest with me, but there's a lot of people out there trying to recruit our kiddos to do bad things. You've got to sometimes be annoying. You got to always be there, be asking questions, and you got to set good boundaries. So alcohol, marijuana, nicotine is not tolerated in this house. Start education young. The younger, the better. Talk honestly about thoughts, dangers, and risks. When I think back to the just say no generation, which I was a part of, they told us just to say no, but they didn't really give us the language to talk about what we were feeling and thinking. So if you would have asked me my junior, senior year of high school, if my best friend was engaging in problematic substance use, I would have no idea because I wouldn't have known what that meant. So educate them with the language. So experimentation is different than social use, which is different than risk-taking use and dangerous use. Ask open-ended questions. What do you think about vaping? Hear what they have to say about it. This one's hard. Listen, lecture. As adults, we kind of like to teach, but sometimes it's better they can teach us things that we probably have no idea what's going on. But remain consistent. Even if your child thinks vape this thing, it's not tolerated in this house. So it's okay to listen, it's okay to validate, but keep your boundaries. So that validation piece is, yeah, I can see why that's exciting. It does look cool when Cool Modi blows smoke rings with his vape. Yeah, people must like to drink it. It must taste good. I can understand how people get addicted to nicotine. So the hard thing is stop yelling and start communicating. Don't be afraid to talk about drugs. Age appropriate, but you're probably not going to teach them anything they don't already know. Don't be afraid to talk about suicide and mental health. So forever, we've had the rumor that if you talk to somebody about suicide, you're going to put it in their mind and you may make it more likely that they're going to commit suicide. That's not true. If you talk about suicide and they're thinking about suicide, they're probably going to talk to you and it's going to reduce the chance that they commit suicide. If they're not thinking about suicide and you ask them about suicide, they may open up about being hopeless or feeling severely depressed. So there's really not a lot to lose there. Don't be afraid to get help. If you talk to your kiddo and they say, yes, I've thought about suicide, that's probably a bigger topic than maybe a parent alone can handle. So talk to the guidance counselor at school, find a counselor to talk to your medical doctor. What can we do as a community? Kind of what we're doing tonight. We want substance use prevention education, starting in kindergarten through 12th grade, especially hit middle school where they tend to start. So that's where you see those numbers start going up. Support evidence-based programs like the Too Good for Drugs program, a lot of other good programs out there too. Keep the message consistent settings. So school, home, physician, dentist, church, daycare, everyone is on the same page. Talk about the positives. We tend to get hung up on, oh, wow, there's 16% of our middle schoolers vaping, but that leaves a much larger percent that's not vaping. So focus on what they're doing. How are those students living a nicotine-free lifestyle? What are they doing that's meeting their needs that could help the other kiddos that are already using nicotine? So nothing about me without me. Get the students involved. Get the pediatricians involved, counselors, all the school staff, the health department. Community prevention, we do have a coalition in Madison County, which I'm a part of, that tries to change community-wide prevention. So provides education for the community, assists in improving policies. One of the big policies that we're hoping is going to help in Kentucky is the T21. So you can't buy tobacco products until you're 21 instead of 18. Adult substance use, we know that we have high overdose. We know we're one of the highest in the state in Madison County. Substance use and mental health are listed in health surveys or things we need to work on in Madison County. So we can kind of see with those issues that we're kind of in a cycle here. When you have a lot of parents that are using drugs and alcohol, you kind of have a lot of kiddos that are using drugs and alcohol because they are exposed to those adverse childhood events early in life, which raises the likelihood that they will experiment earlier and continue using later in life. So, are there any questions, any comments I didn't cover? So that's all I've got. If there's no questions.
All right. Well, did you have a question, Kim?
I couldn't see anything on my. I'm sorry, I couldn't see anything, but now I can see you and I'll unmute. But thank you, Dave. That was a great presentation. I appreciate all the information.
It was great, and it's this, we've recorded, I think, that we have recorded this Parent Academy so that we can also share your very important information on our social media sites. So maybe for some parents who weren't able to be here, I know we do have a playoff football game tonight. Our 7th grade team is in the playoffs over playing at Central. So that could have affected our attendance a little bit. So, but I do appreciate you and all your information. So,
The last time I was scheduled, I think it was a band competition. So
well, I mean,
I'm getting the
hey,
hint here. I'm teasing. I
maybe we
appreciate
need
you all letting me
maybe
speak.
we need to not schedule you in October during fall sports. That's right. I told Kim, I may need to be reevaluating the night of the week because I think Thursdays tend to be a sports night. Maybe we need to pick another one, maybe a Monday or something. I don't know. But anyway, well, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate all of our parents. And if there's nothing else, I will let everyone head to their evenings. Thank you again, David. Thanks, Kim.
Thank
We'll
you.
You're
see you all
welcome. And
soon.
thank you all for having me.
All right, thanks,
Bye-bye.
Dave. Have a good night.
That's
it.
better.